All right, now let's take a look at another useful built-in function in Python. We use the input function to get input from the user. As an argument, we pass a string. This will be a label that will be displayed in the terminal. You will see that in a second. So let's add x colon. Now this function returns a string, so we can store it in this variable. Now let's imagine that y should be x plus 1. Save the changes. Now don't run this program using the CodeRunner extension, because CodeRunner by default runs your program in the output window, which is read-only. So you won't be able to enter a value. So open up the terminal using Control and backspace. Once again, if you're on Windows, type Python. If you're on Mac or Linux, type Python 3 and then app.py. So here's our label. Let's enter a value like 1. We got an error. Type error. What is going on here? Well, when we receive input from the user, this input always comes as a string. So this expression at runtime will look like this. String 1 plus 1. Note that the number 1 is different from string 1 because these are two different types. Now, when Python sees this expression, it doesn't know what to do, because two objects can be concatenated if they are of the same type. So here we need to convert this string 1 to a number. In Python, we have a few built-in functions for type conversion. We have int for converting a number to an integer. We have float. We have bool and stir or string. Now, in this case, we don't need to convert x to a string because x is already a string. If you don't believe me, let me show you. So I'm going to comment out these few lines. Now, let's print type of x. So type is another built-in function. We pass an object as an argument and it returns its type. Also, I'm going to comment out this line because that's the bad boy. We don't want to execute this. Save the changes. Back in the terminal, let's run this program one more time. Enter 1. Look, this is what the type function returns. Now don't worry about the class. We'll talk about classes later in the course. So the type of x is a stir or string. So let's delete this line. To fix this problem, we need to convert x to an integer, and then we can print both x and y using a formatted string. Remember? So we add an f, quotes. Now here we add a label like x. Then we'll add a field. So here we want to print the value of x variable. After that, we add some more text. And finally, we want to print the value of y. Let's run this program one more time. So here in the terminal, let's enter 1. And here's the result. X is 1 and y is 2. Beautiful. Now, all these built-in functions are self-explanatory. The only tricky one is bool. Because in Python, we have this concept of truthy and falsy values. These are values that are not exactly a Boolean true or false, but they can be interpreted as a Boolean true or false. So here are the falsy values in Python. Empty strings are considered falsy, so they're interpreted as a Boolean false. Number 0 is also falsy. We have an object called none, which represents the absence of a value. We'll look at this later in the course. So whenever we use these values in a Boolean context, we'll get false. Anything else will be true. Let me show you a few examples. So in this interactive shell in Python, let's convert number 0 to bool. That's falsy, so we get false. What about bool of 1? We get true. If we pass a negative number, we'll also get true. If we pass a number larger than 1, like 5, we still get true. So we only get false when we try to convert 0 to a Boolean. Now with strings, I told you that an empty string is falsy. So here we'll get false. Anything else is true. So even if I have a string that is false, we'll get true. Because this is not an empty string, it's a string with a few characters. That's why it's evaluated as true.